can reach out to the customer. Or when the user register into the website, what happened on the successful of registration using the customer journey management, I can trigger an email saying that welcome to this welcome to this particular product registration, and you are eligible to get the particular percentage discount. All those things can happen through the customer journey management, which you can see it over here, which is completely managed by the different types of journey. Also, once they're doing that, when they're entering to the website, based on that customer behavior using the AB engine. AB engine is that AB testing. I mean, AB means A version, A content or B content. I mean, the based on the type of customer, you can put a different types of content. Let's take if you're the loyalty customer, you're a long time customer for the particular the business, you will get a loyalty related promotion content. But if it's the regular or new user, you'll get a different content. That's called the personalization, which comes into the picture. Okay, so then what happened? Whatever that all this the different types of business interactions are happening, right? Everything is collected from the customer journey analytics. So from there, you can collect the analytics report on. Okay. So now, so this is the quick view of how the digital marketing technology works. Okay. So with that, I'm jumping to the next portion. So you know that how the digital marketing runs. Okay. So everything's fine, but what are the limitations or the drawbacks or what is the bottlenecks on the digital marketing technology? So though you see that all those things are happening very beautifully, and the business are running and they're creating the revenue, but a lot of manual process are involved on this one. Let's take if you wanted to create a website page or on part of the website creation, you need to create a lot of image, everything like a manual process, and it's very time consuming and a lot of cost involved on that. And also every time you need to go and manually create the audience, there is no insight applied into that. And when you are collecting the behavioral data, right, different types of customer, there is no insight. You need to go and manually analyze and come up with different input, all those things. So all those things leads into the maintenance overhead. Think about it if you have something automation or the intelligence system which can take your business into the next level, right? So, yeah, so that's where actually AI come to the artificial intelligence comes into the picture. So this is where all the companies they started to invest money into AI and how they can improve their marketing. So you can look at in this diagram. So overall, 1 in 10 companies they spend more than 30% of the money into the AI technologies. Okay, and that is the key focus. And 51% of the business leverage generative AI. You know, right now, generative AI is mostly widely used in the industry. So all the top industries and the evolving business, more than 51%, they leverage generative AI to create a content and analyze the data and generate the realistic output without any manual thing. So this is where AI is creating so much impact on the digital marketing. So now you need to understand and now we talked about the digital marketing and I explained about what is the drawback and other things. Now I'm getting into the quickly on how the AI is going to solve this problem. Okay, so all those things you will be already knowing about it. AI got evolved for I mean last 1 decade, right? AI was keep evolving it. Okay. Now we are in the agentic AI world. So Prior to that, still likely it's going on. Generative AI was there. Then prior to that, the traditional AI was there. What is the traditional AI? Traditional AI was the one actually initially started with AI. So that was the basic foundation. What actually they do is simply analyze the data and find the pattern, different types of pattern available, and based on that actually they apply the predictive modeling. And they go and predict what kind of things calculation will work, and based on that they apply the strategy. That's called traditional ML. So this need a lot of human interventions. Okay, but from there actually generative AI got evolved. Generative AI is nothing but it does the same thing, but one additional advantage is that it create a new content. The create content means it can create a new text after analyzing it, and it can create a new images. All of you know about Chat GPT, right? That's the best example for generative AI. Okay. And the final one, the latest one, if you go and search on the internet, everywhere you can find that agentic AI. Agentic AI is the most happening one. All the top industries they're using this one. This is more autonomous one. Autonomous one. There is no manual intervention. The AI applies their own strategy and it runs everything by own. So if you see that the electric vehicle where it called autopilot or self driving. So it takes care of everything, when it runs by own and it reads the traffic and it reads the signals and everything, it runs by own. That's called agentic AI. So now by seeing all this strategy, right, how it's digital marketing is helping. So as I mentioned, using the generative AI, you can create the content. Okay, and using the predictive AI, right, the traditional AI, you can, using that generative AI, you can create a content. The new page, you can create new content, you can create new image, you can create a new segmentation or an audience. And also, it can recommend the personalization based on the customer behavior. If for example, the different types of customer, it reads the information based on the customer types, it apply the different types of personalization. There is no manual intervention would be needed. Everything can be automated. So this is where AI is making a huge impact on the digital marketing. Okay, so now quickly you can see that wherever I highlighted, right, Gen AI, using the Gen AI, you can create, it helps you to create a page automatically, and in the using the predictive analysis and Gen AI, it can create the audience automatically, and it apply the insight and give the intelligent analytics report, and it runs the marketing automations with the automated way without any human intervention, and it builds the journey by own based on the customer behavior. There is no manual intervention will be needed. Okay, so this is the where the A, how the AI impacts digital marketing. But so if you want to build this one AI technology, first you need to understand how the enterprise architecture works. Okay. So this is pretty much standard architecture diagram. You can see the data processing layer where you will collect all the data. Then generative model layer comes into the picture. This is where the model creates in which we go and train based on available data. Then on top of that, we supply them all the feedbacks, what kind of the user input and everything. In order to run all those things, right, you can see that in a CPU. CPU, you already know that central processing unit, which you use it on the day-to-day basis, right? But there are two important technologies that are one graphical processing unit, another is the tensor processing unit. Tensor processing unit is to optimize this machine learning processing. So then on top of that, you have the monitoring layer, which will keep monitor how this all these models are running. So this is the enterprise architecture of Gen AI. Then when it comes to the, if you wanted to go a little more detail on the a solution architecture, how it will work, at least pretty much like straightforward. Like you can see the data layer where it will feed all the data. There are two types of data: structured data and semi-structured data. And this feeds the data into the perception layer where actually it will get the different types of informations and segregate it together. Then it's sent it to the cognition layer where actually it acts based on the types of data. Then once it gets the what kind of the action need to be performed, that will be sent to the action layer, which will be taking care of the detailed implementations. So this is where you would have heard about the very famous terminology called large language models, LLM. So LLM is in a simple terminology words, meaning that LLM help you to reuse the trained model. You don't need to build anything from the scratch. Like instead, like it's the ready-made available models which you can help to use for your business. So what is the the purpose of LLM? The LLM, for example, Chat GPT. If you want to improve implement your own version of the Chat GPT, um, so LLM is the one training model would be needed. If you build from the scratch, there are two types of LLM is available. One is the hosting. You can build your own LLM, or you can use the ready-made which is available. So for example, OpenAI it has a lot of LLM models which are already built by someone. You can go and integrate with their applications. So there are two types of available, but the OpenAI or the third party LLM are which will reduce the cost. You can easily plug in with your application and you can use it now, which will save a lot of time for you. And how you can use it it's very simple strategy that you have to integrate your front end layer with the LLM through the API. Okay. So here, in order to integrate, right, they use the two important technologies. One is the embedding model, another one is the vector. So the embedding model is nothing but whatever you're putting the informations, right? Basically, machine learning is the machine understandable language. You need to convert the user input what you are giving to understand the machine. For that embedding model, converts the high dimension into the low dimension. So it's just simplifying the data. Okay. Then you need to convert that simplified data into the computer understandable format. Nothing but text to numerical. That's where the vector comes into the picture. So this is the pretty fundamental you can refer it. Once you convert that you can it will get into the LLM API, and from there you can pull the data and you can apply the AI into your digital marketing technologies. Okay. So now I'm coming to the main picture. So whatever you see that right AI and other things when particularly when it comes to the LLM model, if you want to use this LLM model right for example if you take the one particular use case, if you want to use for the GPT-3, what will happen the amount of electricity or the energy what you are using it for one particular purpose, which can be equivalent to the 130 average US homes electricity cost which they spending it for annually. Imagine that how much cost or energy was spent on the LLM. How can we eliminate these limitations? See, we know that AI is very powerful and it's helping digital marketing to improve the business. But we stuck with the amount of cost involved on that because the large amount of data need to be processed. Okay, so you need to wait for so many days to so many weeks to process the model your data. I mean the train your data. A lot of time consumed for that, because of that, the operation cost involved and the maintenance overhead is there, and so much the resource need to be involved on that. Okay, so how all these things can be resolved? I mean, including the computational power, because we need an enormous amount of computation power. So this is where another computation, quantum computing comes into the picture. So in short, imagine AI can help you to solve automate digital marketing technology, but it has so much limitation into that. But if you apply the quantum computing with the AI, it make the process fast and it more accurate. Okay. So with that, what are the important criteria actually this one help you to solve? So one is the quantum help you to process large sets of data, and it solves the complex problem faster. You don't need to wait for week and week to train the model. And since it's processing it fast, it has more flexibility to give the better results and insights. And of course, you can integrate with a large amount or multiple sets of data because this working is very fast, right? Okay. So how quantum solves the AI problems? So as I mentioned earlier, it'll help you to when you use the large language model, it will train it faster. So you'll get a quick result. And in addition to that, there are some few algorithms are available, particularly the quantum quantum approximate optimization algorithm and variational quantum eigensolver VQU. These are the things help you to fine tune the machine learning language models. So you don't need to spend enormous optimization or computation cost over there. And of course, so better data processing because so much data are available, right? So once the it started to process whatever, you can feed a lot of data and you can enhance the process. And there's no limit into that, the hardware limit, because when we use computation, the digital computing or cloud computing, so it's taking enormous amount of time. And the final one is that, we know that the chat GPT or generative AI, everything is based on the NLP, natural language processing. But quantum computing brings a lot of enhanced models for, which can support for the NLP processing, which further helps to improve a lot on the AI programming. And there are the few advancement actually which is happening on the. I mean, all are since it's a cutting edge technology, all are currently in progress. There are few very important things, as I mentioned earlier. In the LLM, the embedding is nothing but converting the high dimension to the low dimensional understandable format. So this is the first step of converting the human human feed data into the machine understandable data. So the quantum introduced the concept called quantum word embedding. This is the most optimized processing technology, which helps to increase the speed on the overall processing data. Then in addition to that, it has the quantum recurrent neural network. We know that natural language processing is the key in the generative AI, Gen AI, where neural network is playing the key role into that. So quantum optimize this process and come up with a recurrent neural network, which helps to improve a lot of optimization over there. Then quantum transformers is the new concept. It falls under the neural network architecture that leverages the principle of quantum computing to potentially enhance the performance of the classical transformers. What are the classical transformers? So the right actually is applying the quantum computing to elevate into the next level. And quantum tensor flow. There is another one the tensor flow is nothing but it is used for the machine learning deployment and the processing, which helps to improve the process. When you apply the quantum principle over there, it's elevated into the next level of improving the speed and optimization. And and also remember that so far whatever I explained quantum was helping to enhance the AI, but it's other way also there because both AI and quantum complement each other. So we know that the quantum computing itself it has some of the limitations when it runs when it comes to the operations. So when you use AI in auto calibrations, what happens? It helps to bring the smoother user experience and lowering the operational cost, and less training is needed for the quantum computer. And also, we know that like machine learning is so powerful in the AI, which can be benefit, which can be used for the error detection and mitigation in the quantum computing. I know that there's one of the session I saw that where they'll be talking about more on the error corrections and mitigation data stuff, where actually the machine learning can help to solve that problem. And we know that algorithms are very important in the computer, overall software, AI, and also the quantum computing. So where the quantum computing related algorithms can be very well fine tuned using the AI. There are a lot of other companies are they're doing the analysis and they're bringing the new innovation techniques to bring the new algorithms into keep improving the quantum computing, where AI plays the major role into that. Okay, so now what is the current state or the overall trend in the business? If you see in quantum computing market, right? So we are at in 2025. You can see that how much the uh, quantum computing market size is exponentially growing from 2023 to 2034. So all those things what you're seeing that in the million dollar, how it's gradually increasing it from 2025 to 2034. It's almost more than 30-40% going to grow in the 2034. And what are the the um, key players on the quantum computing? There are so many players are there, but actually I picked only the few: IBM, Intel, Google, and Cambridge Quantum Computing. All these are the key players. They're doing a lot of innovations and other things into the uh, quantum computing areas. And coming to them across the globe, right, where North America is leading on the more opportunities um, when it comes to the other area. So you can see that close to 61% of the growth for the, the much happening things on the North America area for the cloud computing, sorry, quantum computing. Okay. So now we are almost there to finish the wrap up this session. So what are the early adapters and what is the future for the quantum computing? So we know, as I explained, quantum computing along with AI, right, is taking more transformative technology of the century. And with the help of that, it is going to enhance so much business, so many business into the across the different organizations. I picked few examples in order to highlight where what are the areas the quantum computing is going to impact. One is the digital marketing. We talked enough. I'm just leaving that. Next one is the financial institution. All of you know that JP Morgan Chase is one of the very famous financial institution, where they're using it quantum computing to solve the financial risk assessment problems and optimize the investment portfolios. This is particularly happening on the investment advisory technology related areas. The next one is the I think, as I highlighted earlier, the Tesla, and there are so many EV car so are currently available. So where actually quantum computing is growing into the EV car related area. Autonomous car sector. Particularly, Daimler AG had a partner with, they have a partner with Google and IBM for the quantum computing R&D. They improved the electric vehicle batteries, how it can enhance the battery performance and increase the more power storage. And Volkswagen, currently they're working with few startup company. They are analyzing about how the traffic flows and other things can benefit in the autonomous vehicle processing system. The next one is the healthcare and pharma. So like how that COVID was impacted the entire world and how much time it took to invent the um, vaccines. Imagine like if quantum computing would have been there and would have evolved, this process much I mean, like would have been like much faster. They would have like invented the drug much earlier, maybe within a couple of months. So this is the same concept actually. The Merck is one of the very famous like North American healthcare sector. So they're working with HQ Quantum Simulations company, and they're bringing a lot of chemical applications strategies to fine tune how they can speed up the drug discovery. Same thing like an IBM also working with a Cleveland clinic on the similar areas. Then another one like the cyber security, right? Cyber security is the very major area where quantum computing is going to give so much positive impact. The another one is the cloud computing. We know that like in cloud computing, AWS, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud Computing. So all those things are like ready-made, like it's providing on-demand solution. But it costs so much on like by seeing because they're using the digital computing and based on that it has so much limitations. Like, but imagine if you use the quantum computing for the cloud computing, it's going to improve drastically scalability and cost effectiveness. So that's the one of the big happening over there. That's where AWS and other companies they started to invest a lot of money on the cloud computing. The manufacturing is the another sector where supply chain and manufacturing the process optimization can be very well. It can be advanced using the cloud computing. Okay, so now we talked about all this quantum computing and how it's like evolving in the industry. The final slide where I know that like and we know that like all those things you learned about digital marketing, how the AI is helping for the digital marketing, how on top of that quantum computing is helping on the digital marketing technology along with AI, how AI and quantum computing can complement each other on the technology advancement and how the quantum computing is evolving in like various different industries. But all these informations are good, but you need to keep enhance your knowledge, right? To get grab that opportunity. How can you do that? So you need to get a like there are three things you need to focus on. That one is the foundation knowledge. So when you're into the computer science or software engineering area, algorithm data structures are very much important. Okay, it's not going to deviate from what you learned on the fundamentals. Okay, because what you are seeing in an AI algorithms or quantum algorithms are much advanced version of the fundamental mathematics and algorithms, software engineering algorithms. So you need to focus on that. So you need to make your strong knowledge into the foundational area, particularly like in a quantum mechanic, linear algebra, and if you want to be master of the quantum mechanics or quantum computing, you need to first understand the basics of classical computer, how it is working. So this is also very important. But when it comes to the programming, right, what is the majority of the programming they use it on the quantum computing? So Python. Python is very must over here. So we focus on that and get a strong knowledge on this programming area. The next one is the hands-on experience. See, theoretical knowledge is not going to help you anywhere, but it can help you on like certain extent. But you need to be, if you want to crack certain exams and other things, you need to be more hands-on. So if you want to be hands-on focused, you need to explore more on the language like Qiskit. This is developed by the IBM and also we have the QShot developed by the Microsoft. These are all the simulating quantum circuits related language. You need to focus on that. Then quantum simulator concept, how actually this is like how that is used on the cloud-based related areas, which is keep evolving. So you need to focus on the quantum simulators, then quantum algorithm. As I mentioned, that quantum algorithm is the evolved version of the software algorithm and AI algorithms. So you need to like get more, knowledge on that. There are a lot of, few recent algorithms like a source algorithm, quantum machine learning algorithms, all those things are much happening one now. Then quantum hardware knowledge is very important, where you need to understand the fundamentals of all those things. Then a lot of online courses are available, like IBM has introduced a lot of IBM, Microsoft, and Coursera and EDX, like where you can find a lot of online courses. A lot of new courses are coming. You can get use of it. The next, the books and articles, right? There are a lot of blogs are available in addition to the books what are available, because the blogs are very important because we are at the age of very advanced technology. So you can focus on that. Then you start to write some papers or uh, scholarly articles. So that way, what happened, it will help you to enhance the knowledge. Because what happened, studying all those things are fine, but you need to apply your research techniques, and based on that, you need to get new ideas, which will help you to apply it on the industry, and you can sell yourself in a better way when you focus on the research and writing your papers on this one. Yeah, I think that's all. I think yeah. So now I given finally some reference material from where I collected all this informations. Let me know if you have any questions.
Dear participants, we now move on to the question and answer segment. If you have any questions or thoughts, please feel free to post them in the chat box. So there are some questions arranged in this chat box. Shall I read the question, sir?
Yeah, yeah. Please go ahead. Can I read it or?
Yes, I read. Here, your question is, what are the common mistakes beginners should avoid?
What are the common mistakes beginners should avoid? So this question is very generic. What kind of mistakes? Can we get little more information on that question? I mean, mistakes means which area? Like the technology area, or building the career, or what kind of mistakes?
Digital marketing.
Oh, digital marketing. Yeah. So as I mentioned, right, digital marketing is is a more evolving area. So when you, how can you avoid the mistake? Means you need to keep focus on how the technology evolved, how the business evolved, and you need to understand more on the type of business what you run and what is the most suitable marketing strategy can be used for that. Okay, and also you need to know about what is your customer base. So all these informations are very important, and you need to have a very detailed study and come up with a detailed plan and apply the marketing strategies. This way, what happen, you can avoid early mistakes.
Another question we received is, what is the future outlook of AI in marketing?
Yeah. So as I let me go to the next slide. Yeah, look at this one actually. So A is again similar to the digital marketing, but it's much faster version. It's evolving very fast. Okay, so now everywhere actually you would have seen that people are talking about Gen AI. Okay, but Gen AI is outdated now. Agentic AI is the most evolving one. So agentic AI, how it differs from the generative AI is that generative AI, for example, if you use the chat GPT, right, you need to feed that some information to the chat GPT. For example, if I will be asking the question like about what is the um, latest algorithms, what are the latest algorithms available on the quantum computing. So when you put this question, chat GPT goes and generates the content by getting into the the complete internet and it gives the best answer, right? But agentic AI, what it does that you don't need a human interventions. Let's take you are running a another marketing digital marketing, right? And every day the new customers are coming, and the new customers who are coming, the different types of customer will be there, but you need to keep the target the customer based on the type of customer, but you don't need to do any manual work over there. Once you set up and establish the agentic AI by setting up another relevant agenda, what will happen, it will self learn and it will keep running. So that is the most happening in the future for the AI.
Thank you, sir, for the clarifications. Participants, if you have any queries, please unmute the mic and feel free to ask your queries. Thank you, sir. Shall we end up the session with vote of thanks, sir?
Yeah, sure.
I now take this opportunity to present vote of thanks. Our heartfelt thanks to Mr. Gerald Selvaraj for taking the time to join us from the USA and delivering such an impactful session. A sincere thank you to the organizing committee, our dedicated coordinators, and all supporting staff for ensuring the smooth conduct of the FDP. To all the participants, thank you for your active engagement. Please do remember to complete the feedback forms shared in the chat. We look forward to welcoming you all again tomorrow at 10 a.m. for another enlightening session of Day 4 on quantum computing for machine learning. Have a great day ahead. Thank you once again. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.